happening in the north. And I want to invite Chief David Monias to share first, who's joining us on Zoom.
Hi. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly, Chief.
Yeah, okay. I can't stay long because we're in the process of actually getting everybody evacuated. So we're down to the last minute. We were given 2 hours from 8:30 this morning to get everybody out because the doors, the fire's by our doorstep basically, and so we're getting everybody mustered at the point and getting them out to the plane. There's a plane that's circling us landing here, because we are actually going to go and try and get everybody out to what do you call it, the North House. So unfortunately, we don't have that time now. I think the fire's at the bridge now, and so we got to get everybody out. And I think the things that frustrating that we're having to run around, get everybody out, and we're doing this on our own. And we should have been getting our CMP helping us and to do all this stuff. But they're not forcing anybody to do what they need to get done. So we're left having to do the job ourselves. And unfortunately, we have the sergeant helping us out as much as possible. But the rest of their mandate is basically to keep peace but not get everybody out, having to force anybody out at all. So, and hopefully that, this is lessons learned that we have. You got to start making sure for everybody's lives to be safe. We have to make sure we start exercising our authorities. Anyways, thank you. Thank you.
Chief Monias, were you finished? Sorry. Yeah? Okay.
I'm done.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Chief Monias. I see that Chief Bear has joined the call. It looks like they're still getting ready, so maybe we'll go to Grand Chief Wistesakut, and then we'll come back to Chief Bear. Grand Chief Wistesakut? Can you hear me? I can't hear you now. Okay. Yep. Sure. Okay. Chief Bear, are you ready? I see that you're settled in there. Maybe we'll just for the leadership on Zoom. I think we'll come to Grand Chief Kyra Wilson, and then we'll continue on once everyone's a little bit more settled in. So I'd like to welcome up Grand Chief Kyra Wilson from the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello,
Sorry.
can you hear me?
Grand Chief, yes, we can hear you. Do you want to get started?
Say that again.
Would you like to get started with an update in your remarks?
Sure.
Okay, we'll move over to Grand Chief Wistesakut first. You can go ahead.
Okay. I just want to, I just received a text from Chief Michael Yellowback advising that ashes were floating in and around their community. There are no reported fires adjacent to our community. And they're not sure where these ashes are coming from. I just received that now. As far as other areas, York Factory First Nation citizens were evacuated from York Landing last night and into Winnipeg.
and they were all settled at a hotel there. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for Tataska Cree Nation citizens. There still seems to be a coordination that is not working effectively for these people. They're scattered all over the place. I received some reports from people in Brandon that have no food. Last night, we responded to a teenager who was autistic sleeping outside in Winnipeg. That was resolved around midnight with the help of Manitoba and Red Cross. So we're still seeing gaps in communication, gaps in logistical coordination. It's very concerning. People in rather in Fox Lake at Gillum have been very supportive of the people that were evacuated into Gillum. And now, due to the smoke, the people in Fox Lake are concerned and are considering evacuating their priority ones. So due to the strong winds, I observed the winds this morning, and all of the fires seem to be coming east. And if they're seeing ashes and embers in God's River, then that's very concerning. That's it for me. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Grand Chief. Really appreciate your insight and for you being here today. Chief Bear, can you hear us, Chief Bear? I see him. He's, yeah, excellent. Good morning, Chief Bear. We can't hear you, but we can see you.
Okay, I was just waiting for my fire chief, my EMO coordinator in Puckerwagon, to update me on the list of equipment that's there right now, and what else do we need to report on the situation on hand right this morning. We've evacuated everyone except the essential workers, which gives me the round number of 50. Maybe less than that, but these are the ones that are the security, the firefighters, and the distribution of, they put the package together. So we got that rough number, about 50. Now they're telling me to call, they're asking me to call the Army off, or the force off, so they can relocate the services elsewhere. But I gotta get a report from back home and saying, we have this, but I need, what else do you need? That's what I'm waiting for. So I'm trying to get him on the link here so he can do his presentation himself fourth-hand instead of coming through me to tell you. So it will, I don't wanna lose any information or give information that's not accurate for me being in the pond.
Waiting for information. Chief Bear, sorry, that's what I understood, is that he was waiting for information.
Other than that, my coordinator here, EMO here, Toby Biggity. He'll give a report through on my behalf, or, there you go, Toby.
Okay, sorry.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So, through our Grace Clearwater operation, we moved 1,350 people. That was the number that we had come through. We moved 240 out via rail down south. 600 on buses. Yeah, 600 on buses. And the remaining went out on Hercules planes and King Airs down south. Members also drove. We had some key personnel that went down to help organize and set stations in Portage, Brandon, and Winnipeg to assist our members. We also had members go out to Niagara Falls. There's another plane here that's leaving shortly. That's the one with the members that were on the train. They arrived about 20 minutes ago, and they're going directly to the hangar to be transported to Ontario. We have some equipment and generators, beds that are ready to go up, some hoses, and we're transporting those back from Clearwater. We do have a few members here yet. We're waiting on a final number to see what we have here in the pod that were left. We should have that number shortly, and we will figure out transportation for them to head down south as well. I was told that the time our last Hercules left, we had 24 hours from there to provide a notice that military services would be pulling back. So that last plane left at 5:30. So we have until 5:30 today for the remaining members, if there was any that were refusing to come out, to get out. They have 2 Griffins on standby, ready to pull those ones out, and anybody else that is needed to come out. But as of now, we are confident that everybody is out that needs to be, other than key personnel. Else? Yeah.
I invited along our help from OCN. Diane. He'll give us a report from the arena side.
Good morning. It's Diane Pelly. I'm the incident commander for the assistance in the Puckadowagan relocation to their evacuation center here in Opaskwayak Cree Nation. With everything winding down on our end by late afternoon yesterday, we're still in the process of compiling the actual numbers. This morning, they're still being inputted, but we can safely say for sure that we've had a little over 1,500 band members that came through, but we're still inputting just by the sheer volume. So we're probably going to look at closer to 200. Yes, through our arena at the Gordon Lappin Memorial Center. Each registration is being inputted, but they can jump quite high or they can be single individual registrations. So we're hoping to have that completed hopefully by 4 o'clock today as a deadline to get that true picture. Every single person that came through our arena and who stayed at the arena and then that were transferred on to locations to the south have been identified and numbered as well. So that's an accurate accounting for everybody that we transported out, whether it was through buses, whether it was through the Via Rail, which we did 2 runs with them as well. And then, of course, on your end with the stats for the flights that went out. That piece we don't have numbers on. We weren't boots on the ground here, but at the ground level where they were coming in, we certainly were able to assist. And just quickly, I just wanted to acknowledge the support of our team as well at OCN and everyone in the tri-community that came forward. There was no lack of any supports. People were, I think, very well accommodated, both sleep-wise, food-wise. We had showers, and other than that, I think it went very well. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact numbers, but that's what we're working on right now, and we will have them by 4 o'clock today, Chief.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
was there anything else that you guys needed, or?
Yeah. Now, we're good now. Our education director from Pacorawaga, she was one of our front runners here. She'll give you an update on where our students and how they are.
Which students? All of
Frontier.
the, oh, Frontier, yeah,
Winnipeg.
okay. So, the students are basically, some of them came home already, the ones that have attended post-secondary. Most of them finished in April, but a lot of them are people living outside of the community. So they are well taken care of. Our students from FCI were also evacuated, and we had to pull them out of FCI ourselves because they didn't want to do anything to get them to a safe place until it was last minute. So I'm going to provide, because this will be the second time they put our kids at risk, and I'm very concerned about, FCI and how they do their protocols in situations like this. But all the students are with their parents now, and I guess with everything else that we worked here at OCN, my recommendation is when the people do come back, and that's another thing we need to discuss and plan so that you say we have a good transition coming back. But other than that, the way
Oh, we lost you.
uh,
Oh. Sorry, we lost, we lost the audio there. Chief Bear, are you there? Hi, Chief Bear, we can see you. Can we hear you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, it says the internet connection is a bit, but we can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. I can
Excellent.
hear you.
Did you want to share a bit about the equipment? I think we're running a bit out of time right now. I'm wondering if you can share a bit about some of the equipment needs up north and what that looks like for your community right now. Oh, Chief, sorry, we can't hear you. You might have to turn your video off and just leave your audio on.
oh, you're still not?
Oh, we
hearing
can
us?
hear you. We can hear you now. Okay, Chief Bear?
You're too far away from your mic. You'll have to get closer to it, please.
Sorry, can you hear us, Chief Bear?
That's better.
Yeah? Okay, great. We're just, if Chief Bear is ready to share a bit about the equipment in northern Manitoba, we're running out of time right now. I just want to make sure that we get everything that Chief Bear wants to share.
Yeah,
On the equipment side of things,
Yes.
yeah, that's what I was waiting to connect with the fire chief at home to give me the exact number of pumps we have on hand. His last report is that we had 3 marked pumps, 2 fire trucks, and maybe 2,000 feet of hoses. And now I seen a pilot that they identified those pumps that push out water, and 1-inch hoses. They're no bigger than a garden hose. So we need, what we have there was Mark III, I think they're called. Those are the pumps we need, plus lots of hoses. We need a high volume pumps as identification. And so that we can push a lot of water. Right now, as of last night's report, all the work we had done in the past, all the cover, the topsoil, the peat moss under there, 4 feet under now is starting to surface. We have root fire, we have fire hotspots coming out from some places 2 or 3 days later because we got no water. But if we had water to drowse these little hot flames out, we'd catch up to the fire. Years ago, we had these 5-gallon backpacks. They're aluminum. We carried them and we squirted them and we fill up again. We don't even have those. We had bags, canvas bags to haul water. We don't have those. We had shovels. We had pickaxes. We had Pulaskis. We don't have any of that. Absolutely nothing from Department of Natural Resources for fire suppression. Again, I say we have nothing but hose for our gardens, rakes for the lawns, nothing to fight fire with, nothing. We're vulnerable. We have to run all the time.
Thank you very much,
And
Chief.
that seems to be what they want to do all the time, is to make us run. They don't even try to save our infrastructure or in the houses or nothing like that. We only, for us in Cross Lake, we have one fire truck, that's it. For a community of 10,000 people, that's ridiculous. It's like they're more worried about money than they are worried about saving lives or saving our property and everything like that. And we worked so hard to build our community. And here we are, we're fighting, even just to get water bombers. We're being evacuated here, and then we have sending all our essential people. There's going to be mostly me, the mayor, councilor, and firefighters after this Hercules lands. But we have to try and protect our property. We don't have resources. We don't have firefighters enough, and we don't have water pumps. We don't have water trucks, enough water trucks, and we don't have the fire trucks that I tried to borrow from the province and try to get some from the government of Canada. They didn't send nothing. And even our community council was trying to get the hoses and stuff like that, $25,000, and they were humming and hawing whether they're going to send it. So you know, how the heck do you do that? Like, what? How do you justify not sending anything like that? And when it comes to other non-First Nation value property, they'll spend a lot of money to sprinkle those things to protect those things. But when it comes to our homes, our lands, it's like they're left all by themselves. We're on day 13 already, and we're still evacuating people. We started on May 21st. That's how long it took us just to get the help to start evacuating everybody. And I'm telling you that this is how many, a community of 10,000 people. It's not easy to mobilize people when they're just, you don't have a road to get out of. It's unacceptable at this time, you know. And then we have emergency. We have a state of emergency province-wide, and we're still fighting for resources when it should be coming readily, and they should be providing those things to us. Why? Why do we have to beg? It should be given that they're gonna provide these services. Bucket of Wagon, Split Lake, Pimitsikamak. You know, how many thousands of people are that they're gonna allow for our property to be destroyed, our houses, our infrastructure, our people to be evacuated? Why can't they put these resources? Why is it so hard to find hotels? Our people are getting kicked out. They're not being fed. There's no wraparound services and so forth. It's just like we have to go on a case-by-case basis, and there's so many thousands of people that are out there sleeping on the ground outside on blankets. There's special needs children. being placed in multi-senders and so forth, and that's not good for them. We need these supplies, and there should be something that's sort of being done already. You know, we need First Nations run emergency services because we can do a better job, and we have done a better job than anybody else. You know, in Grouse Lake, we have a community council, mayor and council. We don't play around with jurisdiction or the boundaries and so forth. Right away, we join forces. We declare a joint state of emergency, and we put everything together to try and save lives. You know, so it's like our lives don't matter. I'm sorry, I was just trying to keep quiet and focus on this evacuation. I have another plane coming at 11:15, so I got to be there to make sure everybody's out, and we got to make sure our boats are ready to take us out as well.
There you go, say, Chief. Thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it and for sharing. I think that under these times, it's obviously, other than connection issues, we were talking about, first of all, we're just very fortunate that you're all able to join us here today. And I think this is the first time where we're really hearing leadership from up north kind of speak a bit more about an update and speaking directly about equipment. I'm going to invite up Grand Chief Kyra Wilson to speak, and then Grand Chief Settee, and then we'll take questions.
Hi, Chiefs, Grand Chief Westacoots and Grand Chief Settee. I acknowledge the messaging that we're hearing this morning from our chiefs and our Grand Chiefs that are on the ground and supporting the nations right now. It's an extremely difficult time for our nations right now, and I uplift our leadership and the work that they are doing. And today, the messaging that we are wanting to share with the greater community is that our nations, they don't have the proper equipment to fight these fires, to fight this crisis right now that we're seeing in our First Nations communities in northern Manitoba. What we are seeing right now is inadequate supports, which does involve some last minute planning. And unfortunately, our chiefs, our leadership, they're having to respond and be reactive to what is happening right now rather than being proactive. If they had the tools and they had the equipment that they need to keep their community safe with any natural disaster, then they would have been able to approach this in a different way, and maybe wouldn't have seen as many evacuations as that we are seeing today. And so I know that many of our relatives are working tirelessly and they're doing what they can with the limited resources. And I also want to acknowledge our frontline workers, everyone that is in these communities, in our First Nations communities, fighting these fires. We have our essential workers, we have our firefighters, we have our safety officers, everybody that is there in the communities. We recognize the work that you're doing, and we thank you so much. And being in the fire zone and the conditions that you're working in, and of course to our leadership, I know that our leadership have stayed back in their nations to make sure that their community members are being evacuated. Leadership and our chiefs and our counselors are there in those fire zones, in those smoky conditions and ash and just not great conditions, but making sure that everyone is evacuated. And so I'm so grateful that our leadership, are so strong and are fighting for their nations and staying back to ensure that infrastructure is still there after, the fires do subside. And we don't know when that is, because as weather conditions change, we could see more fires. And this is the unfortunate reality that we're dealing with today. And so we have been asking, the province and Canada, we need more equipment for our communities. Doesn't matter who needs to pay the bill. It doesn't matter about jurisdictional issues or who's responsible for what. We need equipment in the communities yesterday. And this is what we are seeing today, is that Our nations, our leadership, they do not have the equipment for fire suppression. They do not have the equipment to keep their infrastructure safe. We have worked so hard to get the infrastructure that we see in the communities, and we still don't have everything that we need in the communities. So how can we just allow for things that we work so hard for just be lost or damaged in these fires? And that is what our leadership is doing. They are staying back in the community to ensure that our community members have a home to go back to when the fires do subside. So right now, we know that our communities are not receiving the basic firefighting or emergency equipment. We know that some communities don't have the fire trucks. There's no evacuation transport, no water supply systems, limited communication tools. As Chief Bear said, they're using hoses that are as big as a garden hose. How do you fight wildfires with a garden hose? How does that even make any sense? And so right now, I understand that this has not been a priority for Canada. I know that there has been a decrease in funding from Canada when we talk about climate change, emergency management, and the equipment that is required for our nations to keep our nations safe. We do know that climate change is not a future issue. This is a current threat to our people, to the world. This is a current threat. And so what we're seeing right now is wildfire season is starting earlier. It's getting longer, and it's more dangerous and more unpredictable. We're seeing higher temperatures, drier conditions. We're seeing increased lightning activity. We need to ensure that our people and our communities are equipped with everything that they need to keep their communities safe. We need investment in infrastructure. We need emergency management tools and equipment sent to our communities now. And I know that we have a new government with Canada in place. I know that they have inherited all these issues. You know, I commend our minister right now that is working with our nations, working with our people, but we need to start acting now when it comes to equipment. And I look forward to ensuring that we do an assessment of everything that we need in our communities. We will be sending a list to Canada about what we need for our nations. And my hope is that we will get the response that we need. Miigwech.
That was excellent. Thank you very much, Grand Chief Kyra Wilson from the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. And next, I'd like to call up Grand Chief Garrison Settee.
Thank you, Chief David Monias, for your update. Thank you, Chief Beardy. Chief Bear, Matthias Colomb, Doreen Spence, Tatasquiac, Chief Delia Hart, Marcel Colomb, and the leadership of York Factory First Nation, Chief Daryl Westesikut, and the headman, Lloyd North for Sheridan, and all of those that have been evacuated. The leadership there is very strong. I also want to acknowledge Westesikut, Grand Chief Westesikut, for the work he's doing for his KTC communities, and thank you, Grand Chief Kyra, for your immense support during this very critical time. It's very, very appreciated. It has now been 13 days since we have been facing the worst life-threatening wildfire that our people have ever encountered. It has been a massive undertaking for our leadership to bring their people to a place of safety, to bring their people to places where they can be free from the threat of this fire and also saving people's lives. This has been the undertaking of our leadership, saving their people's lives. And every moment that goes by becomes more critical. Every hour that goes by becomes more critical. 17,000 people, maybe more, have been forced to leave their nations, their homelands, because of the wildfire. One of the questions that I ask myself, could this have been prevented? Could this have been prevented? My general feeling is that most of it could have been prevented if our nations were equipped with the proper equipment and the proper necessary water fighting equipment to be able to save their communities. And from the beginning, there was not enough resources. From the beginning, there was hardly any funding for emergency services. There was very little communication support. And the lack of equipment that many of our First Nations did not have, they could have put out many of these fires if they had basic fire suppression tools, water tankers, even things like hoses, protective gear. These should have been provided from day one, being proactive. It's like trying to fight a fire with a water pistol. That's what our leaders were faced with. That's what our firefighters were faced with. Not being able to fight this fire because they do not have the proper equipment. And they did not put themselves in that situation. They did not put themselves in this predicament. They want to fight this fire. They want to put out this fire. They want to save their infrastructure. They want to protect their communities, but they don't have the equipment. They should have been provided with that equipment because they're saving lives. And who is withholding this equipment from them? That's what I want to know this morning. Who is withholding the services and the support that these people need? Who is accountable for this? Our people are on the verge of dying in some of these communities, and we're standing by fighting over jurisdictional issues. This is a shame how this wildfire has been coordinated from day one. This should not have happened to our people. And I'm asking Canada to wake up and help our people. I'm asking the province, let's fight this fire. Our people are on the ground by themselves, left alone to fight this fire. That should not be in Canada. This should not have happened. Let's put out these fires. Help us. We want to do it for our people. Give us the equipment. Wherever you can get it from, take it to the north. Our people need it today. 13 days later, we're nowhere near from putting out this fire. It's a shame. Agusane.
I could say, Grand Chief. We'll be taking questions now, if there's any questions from the media. There's no mic. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. What was the question again? Okay, Chief Bear or Chief Monias, have you received any equipment from the province or any from any system or services?
No, we haven't. We haven't received anything. I even asked for a fire truck if they can even lend us, borrow one so we can, spray the houses, the rooftops and to try and prevent any, embers flying onto the shingles to make sure that, we are, protecting our property and, and if they had these water bombers ahead of time and they even borrowed some from somewhere, a lot of our homes could have been saved. I mean, a lot of our, resource areas would have been saved. We have a lot of losses in terms of traditional hunting grounds or cabins and so forth. And if they had put in the resources, don't get me wrong, the people that are here doing the firefighting, they're incredible. They're working them to death, but there's just not enough of them. So they have to make sure that they put these resources in there. We need the fire trucks. Like I said, the community council next door to me, next to our area, they had to beg for those hoses to be brought in, and they almost didn't get them. And why is it so hard? They're so stingy. The thing that we're not important. I'm sure that I'm glad that they had to open up and stated that there's a state of emergency. But as soon as that state of emergency was done, all the bureaucratic systems should have been opened up and say, no, you don't have to prove anything. There's a fire next door to you. Here's the fire hose. Here's the fire truck. You're the men. Here's the water bombers and so forth. Our fires are like rank 6. That's the highest you can get with whirlwinds, like little tornadoes, and it's spewing out what do you call fireballs, like full of embers and stuff like that. And that's what's with the winds. It flares up, and then they carry those things far away. And we had embers that was flying as far away from at the beginning from 20 kilometers away, and it was still warm. And that's all it takes to start a fire. And the water is being held back by Manitoba. So if you see all the fire-prone areas, it's all where the dams are, and they're just drying up our lands and burning us out.
Chief Bear, did you want to respond to the question as well? Oh, you'll have to unmute yourself there, Chief Bear. Oh, Chief Bear, we can't hear you. You just got to unmute yourself, yeah.
Huwag yung patagain, Chief Bear.
No.
Okay, am I there now?
Yes. Oh. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. As of yesterday or this morning, inventory or the list, we call it, there is no equipment shipped to Puckettawagan. There has no equipment being shipped to any of our nations as I gather. Only what we have for our fire protection in our homes, that 2 fire trucks and the hoses we have to flood a rink. That's all we have in our community. So the province is nobody is giving us any kind of equipment. Like I said, we have a pile of garden hoses here in cots. We don't need those cots. We have beds at home. If you give us equipment, we'll protect ourselves and we'll stop the fire. With water distribution, a lot of us we've got a lot of able-bodied people. Like the chiefs are all there together saying, give us resources, give us the power, give us certification if need be. But we go to work without certification. We can work hard without certification. This is what's holding us back, is we have to be registered, certified firefighters, and the courses were taken back, and all of that was taken back. So, I have a lot of issues with ISC. I have a lot of issues with Red Cross and EMO. But, that just, I don't know what, and other than fight the fire, I have another fire here. Years ago, after a storm, a lightning storm, the next day we see a puff of smoke. It was action to bond. Now they tell you, we're gonna monitor it. We have satellites, we have helicopters, everything is done by computer now. How do you fight fire through a computer when all we're monitoring 6 fires? And all of a sudden the wind comes and blows, joins 6 fires together and boom. We have an uncontrollable runaway fire. And then everybody says, get away from the fire. Evacuate. There's gotta be a solution somewhere. Like the chief said, he's very vocal. Chief Munoz, I acknowledge he's pushing hard for all of us. He goes right to the point. And I can't be like Chief Munoz because without sharing, I can't address myself. That's my handicap I have. I have to cuss and I won't. But in any event, the town of the Paw, the mayor, and everybody, the OCN, the chiefs, they all work with us in comfort. They comfort us. And we're trying to put as much as peaceful thought into our people on transit. I acknowledge all of them for that. And their contribution to this. There's people coming in from Split Lake. There's people coming in from Thompson, the municipalities. They're all being comforted by the mayor, the town of the Paw, and the chief of OCN. They're all getting forces, and we're all trying to keep things from erupting here. It's going to blow up any time. And we're moving everybody to the south, but it's not any calmer in the south. All we're doing is handing over the thing like it's almost it makes us look like these should send us asbestos gloves. It's too hot to handle. But if we were given tools, it would not be hot to handle. We'd be able to do these things without running. And again, I say, we want to stand our grounds. And our patients here that we can, and what do we do with our patients? Red Cross doesn't want to accommodate the pregnant woman, the sick, and they're given limited 2 days out of the hotel, and you got to go look after funding. Who's going to look after your stay? For how long, we don't know. From what I gathered from the report from the infrastructure burned, right along the community, we lost 30 poles on the wire, and that's a lifeline to our generating station 35 miles north of us. And in the bush there, we got an additional 10 more reported burned. We don't know if our track is burning. The bridges are on alert every day. They're trying to get closer and closer to Puck, see if we can get a train there. But the smoke is hindering us, so I cannot give you a full report on our lifeline with the railroad tracks. We're going to be running out of gas pretty soon. We're going to be running out of diesel. And I don't want to run. We have to get some kind of support there from ISC, EMO, Red Cross. I've seen them bring planes with bladders in the planes dropping off jet fuel. The airport is open. Give us some kind of equipment, tools, food. But so far we're whatever we have in the store, they're empty. The stores have been given away. They're so gracefully they're good. We appreciate their feed. They're feeding us, but then the freezers are going to be empty. So we have to get some food into Puck now. That's our next task as of today. The airport is open. We have groceries here. All they worry about, well, who's going to foot the bill? EMO, Red Cross, feed us. Bring your plane or we'll use our planes. We've been doing this since we got out here. We've been looking out for ourselves, finding hotel rooms, finding accommodations, where we can go. We've been doing a lot of food work on our own to save our people and to give them comfort. So a lot of groundwork we're doing that, and we always do that. We always help one another. And now it's almost like we had Chief Munoz and I that we had our turn. Glen Lake's their turn. Now is it going to go Manto CP? Is it going to the next person? Are they ready for them? Are we ready for them? Because we got to assist them too. So it's almost like a game here. The government, are they waiting for every reserve to holler and say, help us? We should have an inventory somewhere in the factory. Get those companies going, factories going, make hoses. Oh, I gotta stop there now. I gotta have a shot of coffee before I accidentally slip. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Bear, Chief Monias. And so I'm just looking at some information that, is public information. When we look at previous fiscal reports that we see from Canada, it's public information where the emergency management funding has been decreased. And so just looking at some of the facts and some of the statistics right now and what we're experiencing with Indigenous Services Canada is that, over the last 13 years, we've seen over 580 evacuations for First Nations communities. This has affected more than 130,000 First Nations people. And what we're seeing here today in Manitoba is we have an evacuation of over 17,000 people alone in one region. And right now, just looking back on the Auditor General report from last year, when they're identifying some of the gaps with Indigenous Services Canada and the emergency management needs of First Nations, Indigenous Services Canada has spent 3.5 times more on responding to emergencies than actually supporting First Nations communities to prepare for natural disasters. So all the numbers are there, all the stats are there to support the needs of our First Nations leadership and the nations that they are wanting to keep safe. The information is there. We need to be proactive in responding to these natural disasters, and we're going to continue to see this, unfortunately, because we have not even started fire season. This is going to continue to happen. Unfortunately, this is a reality. So we need to ensure that we are investing in emergency management resources for First Nations communities. Miigwech. And Grand Chief, if you wanted to respond to that as well. So the water bombers, there obviously is not enough of that available for every community. I'm not even sure how many water bombers there are or who is working in that space. We don't even know how many people are allocated. Those reports or that information does not come to First Nations. We should have that information so we know how to access that service or that support. But really what we've seen is that we are asking the province, we're asking Canada. We say that we're in a state of emergency and we have to wait for them to respond to our emergency, which it shouldn't be that. Our chiefs are our leaders and they have the same authority as the Premier or the Prime Minister. They are our leaders. And when we think about the water bombers, I know there's a schedule with that. They can't do what they do in the evenings. So you can only do that during the day, which means that who is fighting the fires on the ground when we see nightfall? And that is our local people. And even them, communities do not have the financial resources. A lot of these people are volunteer firefighters. They are risking their lives and leaving their families and leaving their homes to fight fires, and they're not even compensated for that. They have regular 9-to-5 jobs, and they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart. We do not have the resources in First Nations communities to do this work, which is unfortunate, but it's going to change. I know that, because we are going to push back now. Well, right now, just thinking about our Minister for Indigenous Services Canada. She is very new to the role, and I believe that she's inherited a big mess. And I know that we are going to work together. I know that. And, you know, formerly she was in a leadership role, and I acknowledge that. She understands, you know, some of the issues that our people face. So I look forward to that working relationship. Right now, we are in the middle of a crisis, and it's also responding to the regional office. You know, every region has an ISC office where decisions are being made as well. And some of that information may not reach the minister's office until after the fact. So we need to make sure that the people that are sitting in these offices for Indigenous Services Canada, they understand and they're responding to the requests immediately when they are being asked by our leadership. That is a whole nother conversation about what is happening on the ground here for our people that have been evacuated. We know that these sites are now a target for predators, for human traffickers, for drug dealers. And it would be nice for anyone that has that information, please do not share that information publicly where our people are located. We need to keep our people safe. They are vulnerable right now, and they are in a time of crisis. They need our support and they need our protection right now. And we are bringing in as many supports as we can. We need to have wraparound supports for our people that are here in Winnipeg, Brandon, Portage Prairie, Thompson, the Paw, Niagara, anywhere where people are located. We need to make sure that we have those wraparound supports. So we are gathering those supports right now, and we will ensure that our people are connected to everyone that's been evacuated to support them and make sure that they are protected. I may ask leadership if they would like to respond to that. Chief Bear, Chief Monias, did you want to speak to how would you prepare for next year's fire season? Maybe some of the solutions that you know for your nation and how you could respond to that?
Well, for one thing, I think that starting off, don't hold back so much water from our rivers and stuff like that, because it dries off our land and it's susceptible to fire. And that's to the Hydro, Manitoba Hydro and Manitoba as well. And basically, just to prepare for next year, or hopefully, is that we need to have more fire trucks. We need to have more training. They're just training the level 3s and level 2s now. And why did they train them over so many, quite a while ago? And many of the people cannot take the training because they have to have driver's license. You don't need driver's license to walk around in the bush and fight fires, you know? But those kind of things they're putting a lot of bureaucracy on our systems for our people to qualify to be a firefighter. There are lots of people who wants to go firefighting. And a long time ago, you just volunteer and off you go fight the fire. And now it's just so much bureaucracy that's involved that, you know, yes, there's safety training and all that stuff that needs to have, how to handle a hose and how to recognize the embers when they're flying, what do you do with them and so forth, and how to protect yourself. Those are kind of things that you need. And they should make sure that we are able to hire more people to fight fires, so you don't have to call for people outside of the country or outside of the province. We have the people here, but they're just not qualified to take the training. And I gotta go because the Hercules is here, because I'm gonna go put the last of my people on the plane, and I think we're pretty good. We just have only us and firefighters that may be left, but we're gonna try and use whatever we have here to try and protect our property. Hey, standing on the national committee now, everybody. I'm sorry about what you guys have to go through.
Be safe, chief.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Bear, did you want to respond at all?
How are we gonna prepare for this?
Our next meeting, I guess, our next thought, on the agenda is, how do we prepare for this? Do we just write it on paper and no action on it? Or are we gonna do the action right after the written schedule is gonna go? These are the things that First Nations have to be in constant contact and informed how we move in preparation for the next catastrophe. In both fighting the front lines, accommodating our people, transporting our people, and give them comfort. All of these have to be in place for the next one. If there's a next one, we have to survive this one first. We may all be mentally incapable of thinking right after we go through this ordeal we're going through again. For us in Puckedawaga, this is going to be our fourth one. And it's hard. I tell you, it's hard to keep your composure and to try to tell people, stay calm, bear with us. And it's almost like saying each individual one of us will need a shrink pretty soon. It's very hard. But, in faith, we stand united. We stand strong in prayer. And with the help around us, it's there. And we're gathering with that help, both the municipalities, the reserves, the churches, the TPs, the sweat lodges. We're all going to put that united together. Around me, I have these people, and we're going to go for it to our community members. But before I go, and I don't want to go, I have another, I'll say my sister partner here from OCN. On behalf of OCN, I'll give her the mic to
Good morning again, it's Diane Pelly. I introduced myself earlier as Incident Command to coordinate on the ground on behalf of Matthias Halom Cree Nation. As part of my introduction now, I'm Executive Director for Government Services with Opaskwayak Cree Nation. And as of this morning, I was also assigned as Incident Command once again for our own nation as we experience air quality issues like everywhere else within the province and also probably right across Canada, at least to the west of us. I heard a couple of recommendations and I've heard some questions in terms of what can we do to address the issue. And this morning, I kind of just skimmed over nicely in terms of the work we did, not knowing that it's also an opportunity to find those solutions to fix the system. Because right now, the emergency response system, especially for those in the north and especially for our First Nations, it's flawed. And the big question we're looking at is how? Well, a quick fix and rolling it out is totally a different story, but we need total control of all emergency services. Total control in terms of funding allocation from Indigenous Services Canada. We need full control in terms of operations that Red Cross should be doing on behalf of our nations. And also in terms of re-examining the role of EMO within the province. One of the issues that over the course of this past week is communication and lack of knowledge in terms of what their responsibility is. I've met regularly with Red Cross through the process, and they themselves are saying that we don't know. EMO was there on the ground, but in terms of what their service delivery was, I haven't seen anything. Now, they're given resources to work directly with our First Nations people in the north, but they themselves are also lacking. We've literally had to have staff members share mobile Starlink communication so that can even happen on the ground with airport to the arena. That's a small example of what needs to be fixed. What we know is that had we been given full access to coordinate, we would have done, in my opinion, a much better job in terms of partnering with Matthias Colomb. And I'm saying that because everything that we did on the ground was very much coordinated by our own existing resources. And that's only because as incident commander, I was able to, as part of my mandate, oversee our public safety in our community and expand on our public safety to do the boots on the ground service. And that's everything from food, transportation coordination, security was a huge thing that we did at our own. Now, obviously, we're going to be submitting billing, but one of the issues as well is in speaking with Indigenous Services Canada from the get-go, we were saying we need in writing that everything would be reimbursable. We know that our premier declared a state of emergency across Manitoba, and the one question I asked ISK was, does that state of emergency apply so that we can continue to bill and get 100% reimbursed on all costs? Because we know that situations are happening and we can't wait for funding to flow. If we have the financial resources to assist, we would do it, and our chief and council gave us that authority. Our response from ISK was, we are not sure. We're not sure if general application applies to the federal jurisdiction side of that provincial state of emergency. So already then there was a bit of pushback, and it took a while for us to get that in writing. And we're talking at least a day or two. And at that point, we also needed to assist people. So we've gone ahead and done that and are tallying up the costs as we speak. But I think the big thing, though, is that we also need to have free rein to move everything in terms of supplies, equipment. I'm not familiar with the boots on the ground situation that Chief Bear is talking about. Obviously, they're in dire need of those supplies. But if we had, going back to the recommendation of full control of emergency services in our nations, none of this would be an issue. We know our people, we know what needs to happen, and that those kind of supplies would be disseminated way more quickly than going through the bureaucracy of both Red Cross, through ISP, or any other organizations that's intended to help us. One of the big clues is they weren't sure of their role. When I sat down with Red Cross, they said, well, we're only responsible for this. And when I would ask for resources, and here's a big thing, they would say, what do you need? We'll say, we need at least 350 cots and blankets and bedding. We're in dire emergency to meet the needs of Puckatawagan coming in. But then we get a hold on it, days go by, and then we find out that other jurisdictions that are impacted by fires are getting their items very quickly. One example is that the Gordon Laughlin Arena, with a capacity of probably 800, and on the floor, probably half of that was maxed out. And then we found out from one of my fellow executive directors making a visit over the Métis Hall, and it's packed with Canadian Red Cross cots. Now, the reality is that they had more volunteers there than evacuees. I think on that one day there was only 6 in that entire hall. And yet we're jam-packed and having people sleeping on mats at the arena. And it comes down to how these resources are being allocated. I had a number of questions on how decisions were made where people were actually getting preference into hotel accommodations. And at the end of the day, we saw some, but the majority of the people coming through are our First Nations. And one of the things I also saw with Puckatawagan is how resilient they are. And they weren't complaining. It was almost like they didn't expect nothing better, which is entirely not true. Matthias Colomb are really good people. And they didn't complain. And they were transferred left, right, and center, not knowing where they were going to be sleeping. 3 times they were pulled back because there was miscommunication. So their hopes were going up that they're leaving, getting sent down, setting back, being called, and I can't imagine the ongoing trauma that they're facing. And it's not fair, and it should never be happening. And what I'm saying at the end of it all is that if we were tasked to this, and my partner here, Chris, who was I've dedicated as part of transportation on behalf of Puckatawagan, would be able to coordinate, and his team would be able to make sure that there's a smooth transition across the board. bottom line, give us the resources and we'll do the work that the province or the feds or Canadian Red Cross or anyone else is not doing. And that includes identifying all the technology that goes with it, the supplies, the cots, the immediate response to make sure that when there is a crisis, we're prepared and that everything that's required is available. And even on an infrastructure scale, we're hearing about the machinery, the water tanking. On our end, we're looking at a larger scale emergency shelters with proper equipment and access to everything that they need. So bottom line, recommendation, immediate transfer or discussions to transfer over those full emergency services financially in every way to our First Nations people to coordinate on behalf of people. One
Miigwech?
other thing,
Oh.
sorry, Cascadia Cree Nation has also given full notice that we are doing a voluntary self-evacuation. As everybody knows, the smoke and the air quality in our area was horrible. The index was off the roof in terms of smoke. We're now in the process of mobilizing our members who are health compromised and also our elders, transporting to the south as we speak. We weren't initially engaged Frontline on that. As of today, I'll be assessing what those needs are. And again, making sure that our people have priority to every single service that all of Manitobans are receiving right now. And right now, I can see that we still continue to be secondhand citizens, and in some cases, third-class citizens in this province and in this country. So even that in itself needs to change. So I'm going to continue to keep our chief updated, and as we work with Chief Bear here with whatever we can continue to do, we need to get those recommendations taken to the top and for real consideration if we're going to make any kind of impact for now and moving forward for anything else that's going to come our way in terms of emergency response. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And that concludes our press conference for today. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to the leadership for being here.
Good?